Okay, if everyone could take their seats, we're going to begin the meeting. Good evening. My name is Alexis Vulgaris, the RTM moderator, and I welcome you back from your RTM summer break. As all members have received a copy of the call for tonight's meeting, the reading of the call shall be omitted. This evening, we have some participants from the Boys State and Girls State competition who will be leading us in the pledge, and then their advisor's going to tell us a little bit about who they are and their program. So I invite the participants from Boys State and Girls State to come to the podium and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I believe Mr. Mack, would you like to introduce your participants and tell us a little bit about Boys State and Girls State and what they accomplished there?
Will do.
Okay, great.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us tonight. This year, the American Legion Post 29 sent 2 boys and 5 girls to Boys and Girls State. We are proud of these students who represented themselves, their families, and our town exceptionally well. The program occurred in late June on the campus of the University of New Haven, where students converge from across Connecticut. The students participate in a 6-day hands-on experience in the operation and fundamentals of government. Using our democratic system as a basis, the participants construct their own state. These students took the risk to put themselves in the arena to debate and compromise and express their ideas. They took the risk to both fail and succeed, and they did a fantastic job, which in turn reflects very well on our Greenwich families and our schools. And quickly, before I read their names, a thank you to Livy Florin, who has been and continues to be the matriarch of this program, and whose generosity is a significant enabler. And now, the following students were sponsored by Post 29 and represented our town at this year's Boys and Girls State. I'll also include a role that they earned during the program. From Greenwich High, Riona McCursey, member of the House of Representatives. And just step forward. Angela Bai, State Comptroller. Ainsley Sarbeck, Registrar of Voters. Gabriel Eliza, State President pro tempore. Esler Nabasiri, Town Mayor and Laurel Girls State Sportsmanship Award. Ambika Jha, Town Treasurer. And from Brunswick, Henry Graham, State Senate. One last round of applause for all of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on your accomplishments. And it's very nice to see so many young people engaged in local government, especially at so great job. Okay, we have one announcement, which is going to come from Steph Cowie, who's the RTM representative to the Central Middle School Building Committee, which, as you know, if you've been anywhere this summer, you know they are actively digging behind us. So Steph is going to give us an update.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, Vulgaris, and fellow RTM members. My name is Steph Cowie. I'm a new member of District 8 and a former member of District 11. And shout goes out to District 11 for a great time, and I'm going to miss y'all. And I serve as the RTM ex officio member for the Central Middle School Building Committee. Since I last stood here before you in September of 2024, the project has advanced tremendously. If you had the chance to look from a school window or travel along Orchard, you'll know it's truly a sight to see. From the groundbreaking in December 2024 to today, foundations have been poured, the steel structure completed, and the entire second floor, where most academic learning will take place, is visible. The gymnasium's masonry is taking form, roofing installation is underway, and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-ins have begun. On August 14th, 2025, the community came together for what's called a topping off ceremony. For 5 weeks prior, students, community members, and committee members signed the steel cross beam that now stands as part of the school's main entrance. It was a wonderful celebration of community spirit. Throughout construction, students have remained safely on site, with Gap Mountain Consulting continuing its independent monitoring of the existing school each month. Gap Mountain monitors the building for seismic activities and any construction-related activities. They ensure that there is no new structural damage, no widening of existing cracks, no new cracks, and that the integrity of the building remains safe to occupy. Major construction milestones have been reached and communications have been coordinated with JLL, Turner, GPS, and the Central Middle School Building Committee to keep the surrounding neighborhoods and CMS parents informed. The project has also received temporary exemptions to the town noise ordinance, permitting Saturday work and holiday activity when necessary. These exemptions are submitted monthly when needed. Looking ahead to the next quarter, key milestones include completing the roof installation for full weather tight status, continuing mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-ins, beginning exterior framing and drywall installation. We remain on track for the school's opening in late August of 2026. Photovoltaic update. Separately, the town and GPS have executed power purchase agreements with Green Skies. PV installation is scheduled for the summer of 2027, 1 year after the building turnover, with work underway to meet the June 26th deadline for the state grant eligibility. The committee continues to monitor the progress and assist if and when needed by the entities noted above. The CMS building will be PV ready. Design and Communications, the Central Middle School Building Committee Design Review Committee continues to work with SLAM, the architects, and Principal Tom Healy's staff to finalize furniture, fixtures, and equipment, an exciting process that brings the interior design to life. The Central Middle School Building Communications Working Group publishes what's called CMS Campus Connections, a monthly bulletin with site photos posted on the first Wednesday of each month on the Central Middle School Building Committee website and shared through GPS communications and to the local media. The budget, the appropriated funding for Central Middle School is $112,017,000 and with a $5.8 million owner's contingency currently. Based on the guaranteed maximum price, we are confident that the project will remain at or under budget. Reimbursement filings with the state are ongoing, and GPS has already begun receiving payments, a very positive sign. If you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to contact myself. Did I just say God? Oops. No, contact me. Steph Cowie at rtm@gmail.com. And I honestly, I love that you laughed. It's great. But thank you very much. And again, ask Joe Kelly if you have any questions. Thank you all for your time, and thank you very much for your yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cowie. All right. As all members have received a copy of the minutes from the June meeting, the reading of those minutes shall be omitted. Are there any proposed changes to the minutes from our June meeting? Okay. Hearing none and absent objection, those minutes from the June meeting stand adopted upon unanimous consent. That brings us to the call for tonight's meeting. I notified the membership that I would recommend the following, let me find my Post-it note, organization of the call. Consent items 1, 2, 4, 6, 9, and 10. Combined items for the purpose of postponing to October 2025, 5, 7, 8, 11, and 12, leaving us with 4 separate items, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Item 17 has been withdrawn, and item 3 appeared on the call in error. Okay, pursuant to our rules, I will designate items 1, 2, 4, 6, 9, and 10 to our consent calendar, and if they remain on that calendar, all you will hear is what I am about to read. Item number 1, the appointment of Christian Couples Cooper to be a member of the Board of Health for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Item number 2, the appointment of David Snyder to be a member of the Board of Human Services for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Item number 4, the appointment of Cindy Leal to be a member of the Board of Human Services for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Item number 6, the appointment of Samuel Gonzalez to be an alternate member of the Fair Rent Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Item number 9, the appointment of Dennis Yeski to be a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term expiring October 31st, 2028. And Nancy Chapin to be appointed a member of the Board of Parks and Recreation for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Are there any objections to the designation of those items to the consent calendar? Craig, would you please prepare the voting window for the consent calendar? Okay, so consent calendar items 1, 2, 4, 6, 9, and 10. If you are in favor of those items, you would vote yes. If you are opposed, you would vote no. Could you open the clock, Craig? Okay, there you go. We are waiting. What are we waiting?
Why was it over here?
Wait, we got another?
I'm sorry, what, Craig?
What's the name?
No, Miss Riddles is not.
Coming. A. Should it be 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, no, it's good. Let's just walk her into the air.
Yeah. Does she have a phone? I don't know.
We're just waiting on somebody who's going to get an iPad, I think, to vote with.
It's worth like. That's the. Didn't say it on the Twitter. Well, maybe. You want, yes, so you want to forget.
Okay, here, I clicked again. How would vote on that? And it's up, right? There.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I think, Ms. Riddle, you're good. Okay, Craig, can you close the vote? But while we are waiting for this tabulation, which I'm going to walk over there, I have just learned that someone is celebrating a very special birthday today, which is Louisa Stone, who turned, Louisa, I am only going to say your age because I think it's so remarkable. She turned 94 today. They, So Luisa's a remarkable member of our team. And I always say that she comes to every meeting in person and she lives way in the middle of, she's practically in Canada, over the border there. So I always say to people who are younger and sprier that if Louisa can come to a meeting, you can all come to a meeting in person. Okay? So congratulations, Ms. Stone. All right. I will go get the vote now. Okay, I do have the vote on the consent calendar items. Those in favor, 167, opposed 1, abstaining 3. Those items have carried. Craig, could you please show the vote? Okay. That brings us to our next tranche, which is the combined calendar items, which are items 5, 7, 8, 11, and 12, and we anticipate postponing those nominations to our October 2025 meeting. However, in order to combine items, we need a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a motion to suspend the rules to combine for voting purpose? It has been moved and seconded to combine for voting purposes 5, 7, 8, 11, and 12. The motion to suspend the rules is not debatable and does require a 2/3 to pass. We'll try this by unanimous consent, but if anyone objects, we will have to take a record vote. Is there any objection to suspending the rules to combine for voting purposes items 5, 7, 8, 11, and 12? Hearing no objection, the motion to suspend the rules and combine for voting purposes those items has been adopted upon unanimous consent. May we have the first item on that, which I believe is item 5, Richard Kaplan, who is introducing that? Lauren Rabin, select person.
Resolved that the following named person, Richard Kaplan, nominated by the Board of Selectmen, be appointed as a regular member of the Board of Nathaniel Witherall, position R6, for a term expiring June 30th, 2028.
Thank you. Will a member please move the adoption of the resolution? The resolution has been moved and seconded and is now before us. May we have the reports from the committees that considered this item, please?
Mr. Kaplan was scheduled to be interviewed by the Appointments Committee, but he was unable to attend, so he was voted to postpone by the Appointments Committee.
Okay, so you're making a motion to postpone?
Yes.
Okay, and what is your motion to postpone?
Postpone to the October meeting.
Okay. Okay. Allison Solar, are you offering the same motion? Okay, and you have no objection then? Okay. So that is item number 5. The next candidate who's being postponed is Wayne Sullivan. Ms. Rabin, would you introduce that, please?
Resolved that the following named person, Wayne Sullivan, nominated by the Board of Selectmen, be appointed as a regular member of the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, R5, for a term expiring October 31st, 2029.
Thank you. Will a member please move the adoption of that resolution? The resolution has been moved and seconded and is now before us.
Yeah.
Mr. Lee.
Yes. Wayne Sullivan was also scheduled to appear before the Appointments Committee. He was unable to attend, and it was voted to postpone unanimously
Okay, thank you.
until October.
And I'm assuming Mr. Quigley, land use is in concurrence with that, okay? That now brings us to item 8, James Ivester.
Resolved that the following named person, James Eric Ivester, nominated by the Board of Selectmen, be appointed as an alternate member of the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, position A3, for a term expiring October 31st, 2029.
Great. Will a member please move the adoption of that resolution? It's been moved and seconded and is now before us. Who's postponing that one? Mr. Quigley, land use.
Madam Moderator, Mr. Ivester was unable to attend the meeting, so we will make a motion to postpone that until the October
Okay,
meeting.
October meeting. Okay, great. Next is item 11, Ms. Rabin.
Resolved that the following named person, Michael Bocino, nominated by the Board of Selectmen, be appointed as a regular member of the Board of Parks and Recreation, position R6, for a term expiring June 30th, 2028.
Thank you. Will a member please move that adoption of the resolution has been moved and seconded and is now before us. Again, may we have the reports from that committee who's postponing? It was either appointments or Parks and Recreation. Do we know whose appointments met with him? Is there someone here from Parks and Recreation who's on that committee? Who's the vice chair of Parks and Recreation? Oh, Catherine, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. I'm sorry. Okay, come on up then.
Present. So, your Park and Recreation Committee met last Tuesday evening. Michael Bocchino wasn't able to join us, so the committee voted 12-0-0 for the postponement. Resolved that the named person nominated by the Board of Selectmen be appointed as a regular member. So we asked
Thank
for that
you.
to be postponed.
Perfect. I'm sorry I didn't see you hiding in that little corner over there.
I'm kind of matching the seat.
Okay, it's a good day to blend in. And then our final item that we would like to postpone, I believe, is Kenneth Greenberg, item 12. Ms. Rabin?
Yes, resolved that the following named person, Kenneth Greenberg, nominated by the Board of Selectmen, be appointed as a regular member of the Board of Ethics, position R3, for a term expiring June 30th, 2028.
Thank you. Will a member please move the adoption of that resolution? The resolution has been moved and seconded and is now before us.
Yes, Kenneth Greenberg was scheduled to meet with the Appointments Committee, but was unable to attend. He was postponed to the October meeting, by unanimous consent.
Okay, terrific. So we have 5 items that have been postponed. We can adopt the motion to postpone to our October meeting by unanimous consent. Is there any objection to postponing to October items 5, 7, 8, 11, and 12? Hearing none and absent objection, that combined calendar item has carried. Okay, that now brings us to our separate calendar, which is item 13. Item 13 is already before us because it's a second read. It came before us in June. So we are just going to hear the reports from the committees that considered the item this time around, beginning with Dan Quigley. Why don't you go first? You're there first. Land Use Committee.
Is up here first. Thank you, Madam Moderator. Item 13, the modification of the noise ordinance measurement. Mr. Hal Stillman, who brought this last time and withdrew it, was present and explained that he intended to also try and withdraw the item again, which he can't because it was a second read. After conferring with the Board of Selectmen, and he was not really comfortable with the ordinance as written. He also wants to look at this item a little bit more down the road. Also present were attorneys representing the building owner at W.R. Berkeley. I allowed both parties to give a presentation despite the fact that Mr. Stillman had wanted to withdraw it. We were not sure exactly how that would go, so we let them both speak. Mr. Stillman noted that he and his neighbors have been experiencing constant noises at measurements that exceed what is allowed for the past 11 years, which keeps him and them from enjoying their property and has been the impetus of attempting to change this ordinance. Mark Kurtzman, an attorney representing the building owner W.R. Berkeley, was present along with their general counsel, and he said that he believes it's not an appropriate use of the legislative process to target one specific owner, in this case, Berkeley. The LUC noted that the future development plans could include high-rise buildings in Greenwich, especially by the Honda dealership, which would abut properties which were higher in the back of the property. So this could be a continuing issue that the town faces going forward. We had a lot of questions regarding why the building owner doesn't address the wishes of the neighborhood, considering that there were several neighbors that were involved for a long period of time. The neighbors have said that they could address it by finishing the rest of the roof with a noise barrier wall, which they have on only part of it. By not doing this, they're not showing signs of good faith. We felt that the attorney that was there for Berkeley, who was a litigation attorney, was totally tone deaf to the neighbors. Like, we understand that there's a process and a procedure and a legal procedure for this. And he kept saying, he wants there to be an ordinance that addresses a town-wide problem, not specifically a problem aimed at W.R. Berkeley. But for years, these neighbors have been working diligently. Hal Stillman told us he has spent hundreds of hours on this. And if you talk to Hal Stillman, he was here last meeting. This guy is like an engineer. He's a noise expert. Like, he brought us a special recording of a noise that met the decibel level that the neighbors hear from Berkeley, and he played it in the room. And it's significant. Like, there's no doubt about it. We were trying to encourage the Berkeley lawyer to say, look, obviously we're not going to decide this tonight, but a little neighborhood courtesy and putting a good step forward to work with your neighbors to alleviate this issue. Maybe go to the houses of some neighbors, have representatives of the company go there, see it, and say, hey, we get it, we'll do something, would probably save them money in the end, because they're paying all these lawyers to go to all these town meetings to deal with this and work on it for them to begin with, which is probably a more costly endeavor at the end of the day. And we thought that the Berkeley lawyers were really, really tone deaf when we talked to them. They were sort of dismissive of the land use committee, saying, we're not here to litigate here this issue. We're just here to tell you our perspective. We don't want to answer questions, blah, blah, blah. So one thing led to another. Obviously, the item cannot be withdrawn. We did not take a vote on it because we weren't sure about that. But I think I can speak for the committee when I would say that the vast majority, if not everyone in the room, sided with the neighbors on this one.
Thank you very much. Allison Solar, Chair of our Health and Human Services Committee.
Good evening. We did not have any presenters because Mr. Stillman and I were emailing back and forth when I learned that he wanted to withdraw the item and that he couldn't. We knew we could postpone the item indefinitely so he could come back and quote, when he has a simplified noise measurement language and easy enforcement and consistent with all relevant statutes and case law. So we did not have anyone present that, but we will when we have a new item before us. Our vote on the postpone indefinitely for the purpose of letting him go and redo it so that it can come back to us in a final state that we'll all be able to vote on. Our vote to postpone that indefinitely was 11-0-0 with District 1 absent.
Thank you. Kip Bergweger with the report from the Legislative and Rules Committee.
Good evening, Moderator, fellow members and guests. Legislative and Rules met on Monday night. Mr. Stillman was present. He demonstrated the use of a sound measuring device to illustrate the background noise level and how measurements differ depending on where the sound is emitted, where it is received, and any obstacles between the two. We also know that he talked to the moderator about withdrawing this and was unable to do so. So we voted 12-0-0 to postpone indefinitely.
Thank you. Mr. Bergweger, since you are the last man standing there, would you like to offer the motion to postpone indefinitely on behalf of Legislative and Rules Committee?
On behalf of Legislative and Rules, I hereby move to amend item 13 indefinitely.
No, you don't want to amend it. You want to postpone it
What
indefinitely.
did I say? Did I say amend instead of
Yes.
postpone?
Yes.
Well, then I'm going to straighten that out. Postpone indefinitely.
That motion being offered on behalf of a committee does not require a second and is now before us. I think everyone knew that this item was going to be postponed indefinitely, and therefore no one has signed up to speak on it. But if anyone is chomping at the bit, you are welcome to come up. Apparently not. Okay. So a motion to postpone indefinitely effectively kills the item without the legislative body taking a vote on the merits. If you are in favor of killing this item, meaning making it go away without taking a vote on its merits, you would vote yes on the motion to postpone indefinitely. If you are not in favor of killing it and you have some interest in either hearing debate on the merits of it and voting it up or down, you would vote no. Does everyone understand what they're doing? Yes, if you want to kill it, no, if you want it to march on. Okay, Craig, could you please prepare the voting window? Okay. This is, I didn't know who was going to offer the motion, so it just says motion to postpone indefinitely, but Ms. Pisano, for the record, it'll say Legislative and Rules motion to postpone indefinitely. Okay. If you are in favor of the motion to postpone indefinitely, you would vote yes. If you are opposed, you would vote no. Craig, could you please open the window and give everybody 1 minute? Okay, I have the vote on the Legislative and Rules motion to postpone item 13 indefinitely. Those in favor, 174, opposed 6, abstaining 0. That motion has carried. Craig, could you please show the vote? There you go. Okay, that now brings us to item 14, which is, item 14 is the Tuckman Pomerantz resolution. Could we have somebody introduce that motion, please? Daniel Carlson from Parks and Recreation.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. So this is to consider and act upon the following resolution. This was entered by the Department of the First Selectman. As mentioned, I'm from Parks and Recreation. So be it resolved that the Town of Greenwich Representative Town Meeting designate the town-owned Pomerantz, parcel number 08-4615/S, and Tuckman, parcel number 08-4625, properties as official parkland under the inventory and management of Greenwich Parks and Recreation, as well as to designate the town-owned Pomerantz, parcel number 08-4615/S, and Tuckman, parcel number 08-4625, properties as preserved open space as defined by Connecticut General Statutes, Section 12-107B, parentheses 3. So open space is defined in General Statutes, Section 12-107B3 as any area of land, including forest land, land designated as wetland under Section 22A-30, and not excluding farmland, the preservation or restriction of the use of which would maintain and enhance the conservation of natural or scenic resources, protect natural streams or water supply, promote conservation of soils, wetlands, beaches, or tidal marshes, enhance the value to the public of abutting or neighboring parks, forests, wildlife preserves, nature reservations or sanctuaries, or other open spaces, enhance public recreation opportunities, preserve historic sites, or promote orderly urban or suburban development.
Thank you very much. Will a member please move the adoption of the resolution? The resolution has been moved and seconded and is now before us. May we have the reports from the committees that considered this item, beginning with Dan Quigley of the Land Use Committee.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Nancy Chapin, member of the Board of Parks and Recreation, presented the item to land use. Ms. Chapin grew up in Greenwich using the property almost daily as a youth, and throughout her whole life, she's continued to do so. She's been involved in the effort to have the two properties designated as parkland and moved into the domain of Parks and Recreation for a long time, as was originally intended. She's been involved in this in order to address some of the crumbling infrastructure and to protect the property from any future potential development, which could still potentially happen. She also noted the importance of having such a large green space close to the town's most highly populated areas. And in a very endearing way, she referred to it as Greenwich's Central Park. She felt that the land has enormous ecological value, being full of wetland and vernal pools, diverse wildlife, and old growth trees. LUC voted 10-0-0 by unanimous consent. And if I could, Madam Moderator, I just want to say thank you, Louisa Stone, for all of your efforts on land use. Not only are you a very valued member of the RTM, but every time we have a land use meeting, you're there with a great question and a great comment, and your institutional knowledge of the town and all the land use issues makes us a better committee, and really appreciate having you continue in that role going forward. So happy birthday. Thanks.
Thank you. Those were very nice, Mr. Quigley. Catherine LeBalbo, Chair of our Parks and Recreation Committee.
The Park and Recreation Committee met last Tuesday evening. We also had Nancy Chapin, member of the Board of Park and Recreation, there to discuss with us the unique history of the property and her really unique connection to it. The loss of grant funding, there was a loss of a grant funding that was established by not formalizing this property as a public park. That this change had full support of the Board of Selectmen. Were all parts of the discussion. Often we take our outdoor areas and we say, well, what could that possibly need? It's outdoors. Well, there's a lot of work and unseen work that people like Nancy Chapin do on a daily basis. They work with other organizations like our Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts programs to keep trails and pathways clear for us, so that we can really enjoy our parks to their fullest. Coming right off of the pandemic, we know that our parks had increasing pressure. So the Park and Rec Committee, your Park and Rec Committee fully supported this transition. It was discussed that this wasn't an additional burden to the Park and Rec Department, that they already act in this capacity as caretakers of this land and these areas. But by making this transition, they would really be able to do more than just maintain, truly care for and enhance the really unique properties that and pieces that exist on this property. So your Board of Park and Recreation voted 12-0-0 in full support of this. And I just want to thank Nancy also for her time with our board. Thank you.
Thank you. Kip Bergweger, Chair of our Legislative and Rules Committee.
Legislative and Rules met Monday night. We had Daniel Carlson, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation, Andy Chapin, resident of the town, Peter Berg, a resident of the town, and also Amina Ahmad, Assistant Town Attorney and a resident of the town. Mr. Carlson introduced this item and provided some background for our committee. A group working on the Pomerantz-Tuckman Master Plan reviewed historical paperwork and discovered that the property, which was acquired as two separate properties in different years, had not been formally designated as parkland or open space. One of the first recommendations in the master plan is to formalize the designation. To date, Parks and Recreation has held 2 public hearings on the plan, and it was evident that the public supported preserving the property as it is currently used. A municipal improvement was secured at the time of the purchase, and the MI approval documents are clear that preserving the property as open space and a natural resource was a priority. Parks and Recreation received the support of all relevant boards and commissions to pursue the designation. The final approval will be with the RTM, after which the designation will be recorded in the town's land records. One of the stated reasons for pursuing the designation is to increase eligibility for grants and public funding for potential improvements outlined in the master plan. The BET has rejected funding requests in the past and urged Parks and Recreation to seek private or grant funding, which these designations should facilitate. Mr. Chapin noted that grants for historic preservation had been rejected because the property was not formally designated as a park. Questions arose regarding the definition of open space and whether the land could be developed for other uses, such as housing or recreational facilities. Mr. Carlson noted that any such uses would require municipal improvement approval and requisite approvals from town bodies. Further, the MI for the purchase of the property states that the intent of the town in purchasing the property is to preserve it. Further, it was noted that a large portion of the property is wetlands, which constrains the extent to which the property could be developed. Capital project improvements proposed in the master plan include renovating the sunken garden, create an ADA accessible loop trail, improvements to the boardwalk, installing a fish ladder, and some other goodies. The vote on legal order and merits was combined 12-0-0.
Thank you. We do have a couple people who've signed up. I don't know if they are still interested in speaking. Mr. Carlson, Daniel Carlson, you're going to pass, and Nancy Chapin. Okay, those are the only 2 people that have signed up to speak on this issue. So is there anyone else that wants to comment on it before I call for the vote? Okay. Craig, we're going to call for the vote for item 14. Okay, so this is the open space designation defined by Connecticut General Statutes 12-107B3 for town-owned Pomerantz and Tuckman properties. If you are in favor of this resolution, you would vote yes. If you are opposed, you would vote no. Craig, can you start the clock? Great, you'll have a minute. I'm going to close the voting window. Craig, could you please close it? Okay, have the vote on item 14. Those in favor, 177, opposed 1, abstaining 0. That item has carried. Craig, could you please show the vote? Okay. We next have item 15, which is a substitute resolution that is going to be offered by the proponents. Is Miss Violet Webby here? Okay, come on up, Miss Webby. I believe that you have all received a copy of the text that she intends to offer as a substitute resolution, but she'll share with you what her intention is.
Hi, thank you for your time to consider item 15. I'm here to ask for your support in extending the dog season at Greenwich Beaches starting November 15th. Yesterday, I sent out an
Miss
email.
Webby, I know, and I'm so glad that you are trying this because I think it's really great that a young person from high school is interested in government and is putting a resolution for us. But before you get to your, that's right. Before you get to your presentation, which we are all going to hear, could you just read the text of your substitute resolution? Do you have that handy? Let's see. I will see if, here, you're going to read it from this. Okay, let me see. I have it here on my little sheet. Okay, here, you're going to read it off of this and then you're going to give that.
Okay.
Okay. So here you go. You're going to read that. And there's one little page there, or one little thing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, resolved that Article 3, Beaches and Recreation, Section 744, Animals Prohibited Leash Only, be amended to allow animals on Greenwich beaches from November 15th through March 31st of any year. Be it further resolved that Section 744, Animals Prohibited Leash Only, be amended as follows. No owner, keeper, or person having any charge of an animal shall take such animal onto any portion of any beach or permit or allow such animal to enter upon any portion of any beach from April 1st to November 14th, inclusive of any year. No owner, keeper, or person having charge of a dog permit shall allow such dog to run loose or to roam at large at any time upon any beach or to chase, harass, or otherwise disturb any bird or other species of wildlife.
Thank you. Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody understands the original resolution that came forward from the proponents was an October 1st start date for, we'll call it the dog season. The proponents are now changing that so that the, if adopted, the new ordinance would start on November 15th, which is about 2 weeks prior to what it currently is of December 1st, okay? Is there a second? Okay, the item has been moved and seconded and is currently before us as a substitute resolution. May we have the reports from the committees that considered this item? Hang on, Ms. Webby, scooch over there. And then when we open it up to debate, you are going to be the first one to debate it. I will not forget about you. Okay. Can we have the reports from the committees that considered this? Yes. Yes. No, the proponents own this substitute resolution, okay? So they are offering it. I am well aware that Health and Human Services would like to offer something. If they would like to change the date after this is before us, then you can make a motion to amend it. It's not the first time. It was circulated earlier this weekend. I believe it came out on Sunday to the Contact All 230. And as the proponent, it does not, they own the item up until I accept it, and they have made a minor modification in the date. It would be different if they were presenting something wholly new, but simply just making a minor modification of the date is not an issue. Okay, so who's coming next? Catherine LaBalbo, Chair of our Parks and Recreation Committee. Okay, if everybody can settle down, if you want to debate it, you are welcome to debate it, but it is not going to occur in the audience.
Your Park and Rec Committee convened Tuesday evening. We were joined by Joe Siciliano, the caretaker for the Greenwich Point. At Greenwich Point, I still want to call it Todd's, but I guess we call it Greenwich Point now. The Park and Rec and the proponent of the item. The membership expressed strong concerns about extending beyond extending the dogs the season, the animal season, beyond the bird population. There was discussion around flora and fauna, bucks and deer population and their interactions with dogs, and it expressed mandate of the board that we've really held throughout time that the parks need to balance its passive activities as well as the more recreational or activities that could create demands on the park. There were additional costs accounted for by our Park and Rec department, and then the unaccounted costs. Unfortunately, oftentimes the leashing of dogs, registrations, vaccinations, and commercial dog walking activities, which are a constant struggle, but I think well worth an undertaken by all our departments collectively. The Director of Park and Recreation offered sincere assistance and collaboration in appreciation of the voters, using the democratic tools to bring this to us as representatives, and to we hope that they would work together with the dog owner community. Park and Recreation took up a substitute resolution only with the intent to allow the proponent to continue to work in that effort in a formal capacity of having something on this call, strongly recommending that this fall under second read rules and not be taken up tonight or fast-tracked through a meeting tonight, and that the time is taken for the board to consider this and for authentic work with all departments who have really put forth their best efforts to educate both this body in memos and notifications and attending meetings, but that more work is needed to be done. Park and Recreation did not take a vote, again, with the strong encouragement that this is a second read rule and that this would not be voted on tonight in hopes that it would be continue to work through because of the numerous concerns that were expressed by different members of the board. Thank you.
Allison Solar, Chair of our Health and Human Services Committee.
Hello again. We had Violet Webby, as you just heard from her, from Greenwich High School senior, the petition organizer speak, as well as Joe Siciliano, Director of Parks and Recreation, Sue Baker, Conservation Commission member, also serves on the Shellfish Commission, Beth Evans, Director of Environmental Affairs, and Sarah Picaro, Assistant Director of Environmental Affairs, to help us understand this item. So the conservation concerns: dogs pose a health and safety issues in areas mapped by Connecticut DEEP as sensitive natural areas, migratory birds, resting, nesting sites. Dogs introduce parasites, urine contributes nitrogen, harmful to ground and surface water. So it's not just that, the poop, you can't pick up urine. Many protected species are present at Todd's Point. The balance of protection is maintained by seasonal restriction of dogs. Migratory birds remain until December in warm years. October, November are critical months. Thousands of birds use the area. There's no specific date that is clear for migration, and you can say, okay, let the dogs in right now. I already said dog urine is not good for the water table. High concentration of coliform levels impact the shellfish beds. There's frequent testing at 35 sites required before opening those beds. Committee had some concerns. Some members noted that geese and lack of human enforcement are greater issues than dogs themselves. Enforcement challenges: there's little or no park supervision, cost concerns, limited staff capacity. We learned that animal control has only 3 staff and 1 is assigned to the kennel. Without stronger enforcement, rules risk being ignored. We talked a lot about bad behavior of people at the point with their dogs, not picking up the poop, etc., or being off leash. The proponent of Ms. Webby stated that Greenwich is the only local community without extended dog access. Westport, Fairfield, Westbrook allow it. Other towns reported no additional costs. She consulted with the Audubon, and they confirmed no overlap with nesting season. During the last season, 9,000 bags were poop bags were distributed per month when there is dog access, which she said indicates compliance with cleanup. The Point is a special place for families and dogs, which is why she wants to extend the season. The conservation staff, their counterpoints were that the other towns' parks are not coastal with multiple habitats. Stanford's conservation zone, for example, prohibits dogs entirely. And Todd's Point supports, this was news to me, 1,200 animal species. It's a very unique habitat, and there is a unique categorization of that, of those protected areas. Joe Siciliano also added that he contacted Westport and Fairfield and said that 50% of the residents favor the extension and 50% opposed it, the extension of dogs in their parks. And I think everybody got these two, but the usage data for Todd's is incredible. 47,000 visitors per month. There were 708 non-resident day passes in October and 781 dog turnarounds in November. That means they weren't allowed in. Estimated bag usage, 32,000 bags total. People take 2.5. I don't know why you need more than 1, but maybe you need more than 1. And that improper disposal in the woods. So even if you take a bag, you still put it in the woods, which is not good. Please don't do that. Is still an issue. Also note that the ordinance applies to all beaches unless this is clarified or changed. It could unintentionally affect all parks. Enforcement challenges are noted, limited capacity to police compliance. Concern, Catherine LaBabo mentioned this, over commercial dog walkers and numbers of dogs per person. Maybe we should be addressing that. So then our conversation shifted a little bit, and we began to discuss, is there any wiggle room for extending it a little bit? Maybe not to October 1st. Our committee had concerns about that as well, enforcement, better fines, supervision needed. The migration folks said there's no definitive date, but they indicated that an extension to the Wednesday before Thanksgiving wouldn't be terrible. Also, Joe Siciliano reminded us that years ago there was education. There were booths and brochures for park users so that they can understand the importance of this habitat and maybe be more respectful. There was concern expressed about rewarding bad behavior with extended dog access at all. So we went back and forth, a lot of discussion about this. People love going there with their dogs and also want to preserve this amazing gem of our town. So we discussed amending Ms. Webby's ordinance to allow dogs from the Wednesday before Thanksgiving instead of December 1st. And we voted 10-1-0 with District 1 absent and District 9 voting no because it was rewarding bad behavior and that the ordinance and details need to be worked out more clearly. I'm not putting that forward right now, but is that, unless you want me to?
You have, so I don't know what the intention of your committee was. If your intention was to offer an amendment at the time that we likely take a dispositive vote, which I do not believe is
We're gonna
going to
do
be
tonight.
this evening. If you put it forward next month, then some of the agencies who you or other committees were hoping to weigh in now have the additional benefit of understanding that it's not an October 1st start date, but a November 15th start date. So it is at your discretion what you would like to do with your committee's amendment. I assume that next month we will just start ticking down the various amendments for dates, right? There could be an amendment from somebody to make it October 1st. I don't know.
Yeah,
what it
I
looks
think
like
it
yet.
makes more sense, unless anyone screams from the Health and Human Services Committee, that we wait until the second read. So all the amendments are before you at once and we're not doing this piecemeal.
Okay, that's fine. It makes no difference. I'm assuming that there is no one that is offering us a motion to suspend the rules, and I doubt it's going to pass by 2/3. So I think that's a safe assumption. Yeah, okay.
That, I just wanted you to also know the feeling of our group of giving that a little wiggle room was
Okay,
potentially okay with the parties.
okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. Mr. Pascarella, you cannot ask a question directly. It has to go through the chair. Could you please come up to the microphone? Yeah.
I'm just wondering why the Wednesday before Thanksgiving instead of Thanksgiving. Then you could say it's from Thanksgiving to April Fool's Day.
Okay. Ms. Solar, do you have any clarity on why you chose the
I think
Wednesday?
the
before
reason was that it's when families are home, and if your college kids are coming back, they're coming home, they're coming back on that Wednesday. And just to give people that time, that weekend, that long weekend, to be able to go with your family and your dog to the point.
Okay. All right. So you're going to hold your amendment until next month in October. And now we are going to hear from Kip Bergweger, the Chair of Legislative and Rules. Thank you, Ms. Solar.
I think Ms. Solar mentioned this. I just want to emphasize that this amendment goes beyond the original. It not only it changes the date, but it applies to all beaches, whereas the original version applied only to Todd's Point. When Legislative and Rules took it up, we had Mr. Siciliano, the Parks and Recreation Committee, Department. And the proponent was not in attendance. Mr. Siciliano shared his concerns about extending the period the beach is open to dogs, including that relevant departments and boards had not had the opportunity to opine on this, and that the resolution language did not reference the town code. He noted that passes are still checked in October, with 47,000 approximately visitors per month in October and November, and that the number of dog licenses sold is likely to be far lower than the number of resident dogs, indicating that many dogs at the beach may not be licensed. He also shared that estimated cost to lengthen the seasons of dogs would cost approximately $18,000 per year. Staffing would include cleanup and trash collection. This does not include costs that would be incurred by the police department, if any. Mr. Siciliano also stated that there was a conflict between the proposed change in dates to the Parks and Recreation Ordinance and dates in the Health Department's related ordinance. Although none of the restricted areas that ordinance allows the Department of Health to designate are listed in the town code. Also mentioned were concerns about shellfish beds, fall events, and complaints about the current use of the beach by dog owners. A discussion ensued in our committee about whether the item is in legal order, if it was purporting to amend an ordinance, but there was no citation to any ordinance. And the suggestion was made to put it into legal order, but the committee voted rather that it would be better to vote that it is out of legal order, and suggested that the proponent could come back with a new revised resolution after consulting with town agencies. Our vote on legal order was 0, 11, 1, with District 4 abstaining.
Thank you. And just to clarify, Mr. Bergweger, the item is in legal order now because it does reference the appropriate town code. Mr. Waters, Chairman of our Budget Overview Committee.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, fellow members. The Budget Overview Committee discussed this item at length, but concluded that it needed a bit more work before members were willing to vote on it. We did hear a lot of the same points from the Parks and Rec Department, Mr. Siciliano, from the Shellfish Commission, Sue Baker, and from the Greenwich Police Department, Deputy Chief Mark Zuccarella. We also heard from Deborah Faria, the mother of the proponent. And, you know, I think one thing I would just like to say on behalf of BOC, I think we were thankful for all of the efforts of both the proponents and some of the staff and volunteers who you know really encouraged a respectful debate on this topic, just so we can be really thoughtful about it. We did focus our discussion on enforcement and the associated costs. No surprise there as a Budget Overview Committee. Some of the points have been highlighted by others, but just the key ones. We did hear that the change, at least with an October start, the estimate was an additional $18,000 in operating costs. And we also heard from the police department that who was responding to questions about enforcement of the leash laws. We did hear that at least that 5 new officers would be needed to properly staff the animal control department and to conduct the required shifts without overtime. So just wanted to emphasize those 2 points for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so now we are going to hear debate on this issue. Quite a few people have signed up, but we will begin with Ms. Webby, who's the proponent. And I just want to remind everybody, the motion before you is now not October 1st, but it is November 15th. So about 2 weeks different. Okay, from what we currently have. Ms. Webby, the floor is all yours.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for your time to consider item 15. I'm here to ask for your support in extending the dog season at Greenwich Beaches starting November 15th. Yesterday, I sent out an email explaining the reasons for submitting a substitute resolution for a starting date of November 15th. After meeting with various committees and considering feedback from all sides, I believe this is a fair solution that works for everyone. By extending the dog season for just 2 weeks, we're giving dog owners the opportunity to use the park in the fall while the sun is still warm, it's quieter, less crowded, and it's still not impacting the peak months when the park is busiest. Additionally, Thanksgiving would fall during this time, allowing families to have quality time with their dogs during the holiday break, a perk that many Greenwich residents have long desired. Importantly, this extension is timed for when the majority of the migratory birds have already passed through. By November 15th, the migratory season is nearly over, so we can allow dogs in the park without causing as much harm to wildlife as a October 1st start date. This short window gives dog owners a chance to enjoy the park while still respecting the park's role as a habitat for wildlife. Another benefit of this resolution is that it would eliminate the need for a gate guard who isn't there for beach passes during the month of November, but rather just to check for dogs, which has been an added cost. Those savings could maybe go towards beach maintenance, making the park a better place for everyone. And I believe this extension is a reasonable and fair solution. It gives dog owners a little more time while keeping the park safe, accessible, and in good condition. It's a small change with big benefits, and I hope you'll support this amendment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we have a couple of other speakers. Joe Siciliano, our Commissioner or Chair of the Parks Department.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, members. Joe Siciliano, the Director of Parks and Recreation. I won't repeat a lot of the information that's been given to you in the committee reports. I just want to bring home a few facts that about some attendance figures that you should know about. In the month of October 24, 47,000 people, 109, and there were 1,900 guests. In November of 24, 47,500. And again, 790 dogs were turned away because we don't count, we don't accept guest passes that month, but we do turn around dogs because the current regulation does not start until December 1st. The numbers that you received from the BOC and others about the additional staffing, that's very minimal, one staff member for those two, that would be for those 2 months. If we were to go the 2 months, obviously, if it's adapted substitute resolution, it would be a lot less than that. The issue that, this resolution or the information should have started with some of the boards and commissions that the RTM appoints, like the Board of Parks and Recreation, the Board of Health. I know the Conservation Commission and the Shellfish Commissions are appointed by the First Selectman, but they're all boards and commissions that have some regulatory or some and some managerial responsibility for the operation of Greenwich Point and all of our beaches and parks. This is not about Greenwich Point, it's about all beaches in all beach locations. I won't repeat a lot of the stuff. I think I do want to say that there were 3,000 dog licenses sold. And that's a mere minor amount of an estimated 7,500 dogs that are approximately in Greenwich. And so that there's a bunch of work to be done here. I also offered to Violet, after the meetings on Tuesday evening, I sent her an email assisting her in what some of the committees and some of the boards that she should go to. We had a good exchange. She thanked me, despite, what might be out there. I did not try to beat up on her proposal. I tried to give her constructive information, and I tried to provide the RTM with factual numbers and information, and so you can make your own decision. Thank you.
Okay, Beth Evans.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and good evening, members of the RTM. I am appearing this evening both as part of the professional staff of the Conservation Department and also on behalf of the Conservation Commission, which met on September 11th and discussed what then was the resolution of October 1st to November 30th for the extension. The resolution as modified certainly is helpful, and I appreciate the very thorough recount of our testimony before the Committee for Health and Human Services. The Greenwich Point Park has been designated by National Audubon as an important bird area, and that designation speaks to the various habitats and importance that this park serves to migrating birds of all types. It also is a known habitat for wintering species, particularly two state-recognized owl species, the long-eared owl and the northern saw-whet. There are exceptional concentrations of birds during migration, and as we know, October and November can be very warm or not. There's no set date on which the birds say, okay, we're going south now. It has also been recognized by Connecticut Department of Environmental and Energy Protection as a natural diversity database point, and it has had over 1,200 species of plants and animals identified in a BioBlitz. It's an important area. In addition to the National Audubon Society, the Connecticut Audubon Society has also recognized Greenwich Point as an important biological reservoir, if you will, for plants and animals. Although the current extension till November 15th seems modest, 2 weeks, in fact, many of the birds that will use the lower part of Long Island Sound as resting and feeding areas are young birds, the birds of the year, the ones that were born during the nesting season that Ms. Webby correctly identified as the most important time to keep animals away. Those young birds, as young kids may not be, aren't very adept at resting and feeding. It's an important time for them at the end of the fall migration. So respectfully, I would suggest that the proposal for Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving, that's 5 days, and that is perhaps a more reasonable solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Cynthia Erlinger? Is she here? Do we have a Cynthia Erlinger? Okay. Ms. Erlinger, are you there? Ms. Erlinger?
Yes, thank you. I came down with a bad cold, so I didn't want to spread it around. I did attend the Conservation Commission meeting with Beth and the rest of the group, and at that time it was October 1st. I had written a number of things which I then sent to the RTM, outlining some of the reasons why I thought that was not an appropriate time period. But I would agree that if we went to like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I don't have great opposition to that. So I thank everybody.
Thank you. Ryan McLean? Is he here? Is there a Ryan McLean online, Craig?
Yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Thank you to the members of the RTM and fellow Greenwich residents. My name is Ryan McLean, and I am the Senior Education Coordinator with the Greenwich Audubon Center. part of the National Audubon Society, and I am here tonight to speak in opposition to the proposed extension of the months during which dogs are allowed at Greenwich Point and other Greenwich beaches. At Audubon, our mission is to protect birds in the places they need today and tomorrow. And this includes Greenwich's beaches, which are a vital stopover site for migratory shorebirds, songbirds, and many other species. As was mentioned, Greenwich Point was designated by National Audubon as one of Audubon's global network of protected important bird areas, due in part to the 500 plus shorebirds that use its beaches. Imagine this: a tiny sandpiper that was born near the Arctic tundra has to migrate to Tierra del Fuego, Argentina. Every beach they can land on undisturbed serves as an essential rest stop for the food and rest needed to survive, especially as warmer climates extend their migration period to the later months of the year, such as November and December. The beaches of Greenwich provide this life-saving resource at the time they most crucially need it. Migratory and wintering songbirds like warblers and sparrows who arrive in November also heavily rely on the edges of these beaches after flying all night and are seeking safe cover to rest and feed. This is what we want to protect: the smallest birds' ability to safely use our beaches so that they can travel thousands of miles away and then return to this beach the very next year. Sadly, even leashed dogs can disturb feeding and resting birds, forcing them to expend energy they cannot afford to lose. This is not a hypothetical concern. This is something we observe every year. Our staff and volunteers monitor bird activity along the Connecticut coast and have documented increased disturbance from dogs during these months. The science is clear that human-created disturbance, including from dogs, reduces the amount of time birds can spend feeding, causes increased stress, and can result in the abandonment of critical stopover and wintering habitats. Extending dog access would directly conflict with not only the migration window for many species, but when many wintering species are newly arrived from these perilous journeys. This is especially troubling given the broader context. North America has lost nearly 3 billion birds since 1970. Audubon is working to bend the bird curve to reverse this decline, and protecting stopover sites like our Greenwich beaches is an essential part of that effort. We all love our dogs, and they are truly part of our families. But beach access is about balance, about coexisting in a way that respects the needs of wildlife, and the few protections we do have in place for wildlife, such as limiting dog access during these crucial periods, must be maintained and not weakened. So I urge the RTM to stand with science, with conservation, and with the long-term health of our coastal ecosystems. We kindly ask that you please refrain from extending dog access on Greenwich beaches. Let's protect these vital habitats for the birds that rely on them and for the generations that will come after us. Thank you all very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next is Sue Baker, to be followed by Chief Heavey.
Thank you. My name is Sue Baker, and I am a member of the Conservation Commission and the Shellfish Commission, liaison to Parks and Rec Board, and of the Harbor Management Commission. And tonight, as Vice Chair of Shellfish Commission, I'm representing that organization. As you've heard, we've already spoken before the budget or financial overview and to Health and Human Services. What we care most about is well-being for wildlife and for the health of all of the waters. The most significant job of the Shellfish Commission for the town of Greenwich is water quality testing. We are a state-mandated commission, not a municipally mandated commission, and we have a very strict protocol for water quality testing. We are one of 3 entities that tests Greenwich waters. Our protocol is with the state and University of Connecticut labs in Milford, which are, and also with the NOAA, which is a federal national lab in Milford. Most of you are familiar with the term coliform count, and in the summer you hear the beaches are closed because there's a high coliform count. That's our town of Greenwich Health Department that cares about contamination by fecal matter in the water of our beaches. And so after a significant weather event or a failure of a sewage treatment plant, the beaches may be closed. What a coliform count indicates is the presence of fecal matter. What we worry about is a pathogen, it's called Enterococcus, a bacterium, that is in fecal matter and is in all mammalian and all animal intestines. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because the shellfish beds that are recreational in the town of Greenwich are intertidal and somewhat subtidal. But there are 55 acres of commercial shellfishing beds immediately subtidal all along our shoreline. And our Shellfish Commission is responsible for that. So we have 35 sites between the shoreline and the islands all the way down to the state border, New York border, that we test regularly. Not just on a weather event when we worry about a sewage treatment plant failure or we worry about runoff and storm sewers, but continuously, or we couldn't keep the beds open. And that would be a huge financial hit for commercial beds. Our recreational beds for the town of Greenwich are open from the 1st of November till the first part of, maybe the latter part of April. The opening is based on the number of boats in the water. The number of boats in the water indicate that there would always be the presence of fecal matter and therefore a coliform count. So when we first got this notice, it was October 1, and that was really a killer. But anytime for us, dogs along the shoreline up our coliform count. We can control it somewhat in the summer by closed heads, but there's always a little bit. But we can't control the dogs. And the way this reads now is beaches, but they don't stay on the beach. They're all over the point. I mean, no one can enforce that. They harass shell fishermen on a regular basis because they're in the intertidal zone. Everyone is walking on the sand or on the shells. They're not subtidal in deep water. And so it's not just isolated to the beaches where the dogs are, it is all over. And this new one reads apparently all the beaches, which include Byram Park. Byram already takes a huge hit. It has a coliform count that's high all the time for other reasons, and that it doesn't get the flushing tides that the other places, the other beaches get. So the Shellfish Commission takes it takes a horrible hit for water quality when there are boats open and when there are dogs on the beach. And now this says, the new one says animals. I don't know what other animals that includes, but I don't suppose people keep cats on leashes, but I don't
It's
know.
not new, Miss Baker. Animals is what is in the ordinance, actually.
Right, okay, and not just dogs.
Animals are written in there and then but yes, I suppose if someone had a pet
we're
sloth,
focusing on
they
dogs.
could bring it to the beach.
Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, anything to be. Anyhow, we applaud Ms. Webby's endeavors. This is not the first time we as the Shellfish Commission have had to address this in the past decade. I think this is the third time. So I'm wondering, is it now time for a referendum on this, that it's more of a townwide ability to vote on this issue? Because as Ms. Webby says, there are many families for whom bringing their dogs to the beach, and I have a dog, but for every one of those families, there is a family with young children that doesn't want the dogs on the beach, just because they may be aggressive and because, as has been pointed out to you, we don't have a means, either physically nor financially, to enforce the dogs on the leash. So as representing the Sailfish Commission, I would like to say that we are not in favor of this change. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chief Heavey.
Madam Moderator, members of the RTM, and fellow residents. I don't come up here too often. I'm 14 years as a chief, and this issue has come up before us. And I quote the late Dave Tice, Chief, it's not the dogs, it's the owners. We've had 37 dog bites in the town of Greenwich last year. That's 37 too many. Again, I mentioned that I'm a resident, but I'm also a frequent user of Greenwich Point. And some of the staff sometimes joke that the dogs are in much greater compliance when my chief's car is parked at the gatehouse as I walk or run around the beach. And I think that's true. The challenge is our community impact section, some of the new signs you've seen that go up during the dog season to try to get greater enforcement. I got the big orange sign, the big traffic sign that we put out at the island as you enter near the Sue Baker Pavilion. I even got complaints about that. Our animal control section, 2 great sworn officers. However, we are an animal control facility that doesn't want to euthanize any animals. So sometimes we have long-term stays at our shelter until we can get the dogs to a home. And they often, that ties them up for some time during their shift. And as the BOC mentioned, if I really wanted to do everything right, I really would need more staff. So I wasn't aware until today that there was a possibility that there'd be a change in the proposal going back to October 1st. I think the couple of days before Thanksgiving might really work better, and we can always see how that works. But it's difficult for us to do all the enforcement with the current staff. And we get plenty of complaints about dogs bothering people who don't want their dogs down there, don't want dogs down there as far as carriages. And again, that increase in time creates a liability for the town. And I know that this is, and will probably end up as a first read, so that hopefully there's an opportunity for those who wish to get this forward or have it be considered properly, that they use the professional staff to make sure that everything's in proper order, so that you, as the RTM, can vote on it properly. And the police department remains available. Like I said, our community impact section really does gear up every year for December 1st. For that reason, the increase in the times will also increase the number of non-residents who often don't know what our rules are or don't have the same love or feeling, understanding of the importance of Greenwich Point. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the speakers that had signed up to want to speak on this item. As I said, this is a first read, so I don't anticipate anyone offering motion to postpone, to suspend the rules and take it up, but I'll say it. Is anyone offering that, just so we can be clear? Yes. Mr. Conway.
Thank you. I'm a dog owner. I also believe that what was said earlier about the shellfish, which are in the water, on the other side of the beach area, in the swamp area, where dogs are not going. If you go out to Greenwich Point, like I do, since I've retired, a fair amount of days a year, I'll find the dogs that are on a leash around the back by the yacht club, over by the back picnic area that's there, and possibly along the shoreline that faces Island Beach and Todd's. Where you find the dogs that are not on a leash are on the sandy beach. The owners are there. Now, who's responsible? The owners. And what I would suggest is to put a fine, $200, $500. You find an owner with a dog off a leash, you give him or her a fine, a ticket. You're going to find after a couple of days, when that gets around, people are not going to take their dogs off the leash. Now, who enforces it? I like Chief Evie. I think he's a fantastic chief. He's got great personnel. They go all over Greenwich, including Greenwich Point. They come over there. How much time would it take for maybe one officer on his patrol to drive to one of the concession stands, park the car, walk the beach for a half a second, maybe, or 5 seconds, 5 minutes? He'll find somebody, he gives a ticket. He gets back in his car and he goes back to what he was normally doing. When that word gets out, you're going to find those dogs will be on a leash. And I just want to point out also, if you go out to Todd's and go to the picnic areas, you better wear galoshes, because the geese and the seagulls are making much more of a waste than the dogs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm not aware of anyone who wants to take this up this evening. So pursuant to our second read rule, it will automatically appear on the call in October. You've all heard it's a modified resolution from what it originally appeared. So you're looking at November 15th would be the start of, we'll call it the dog season, and not like the animal sloth season. Okay. That brings us to our final item on the agenda this evening, which is item 16. This item was also on our call in June, so it's currently before us. So could the committees that considered this item please come forward? Who's going first? Mr. Zorthian, you're walking with a purpose towards the microphone. Greg Zorthian, Chairman of our Finance Committee.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, fellow RTM members and guests. First of all, I'd like you to know I lost the over-under. I thought we'd be out of here by 9:30. The Finance Committee took up item 16 last Monday. We were joined by Adam Leader, the proponent, and First Selectman Fred Camillo. Mr. Leader urged the adoption of the SOMR, which called for the ending of spending on the ongoing lawsuit with the Board of Ed, as well as the recommendation that the town work to end intra-town disputes through means other than litigation. The First Selectman took us through the history of this ongoing dispute, outlining the several attempts to resolve it without litigation. He said he supported the general sense of this SOMR, but had to pursue litigation in this instance to preserve the town's rights. It was the sense of the entire Financial Committee that while we supported the broad declaration that the town should use litigation as a last resort, we did not want to pass judgment on the current lawsuit. Therefore, the Finance Committee voted 10-0-0 with 2 absences to remove any reference to the current litigation from the SOMR, and then we approved the amended SOMR 901. Now here's the rub. At our meeting, the proponent circulated paper copies of the SOMR, and that's what we voted on. Unfortunately, he circulated and we amended and approved the original SOMR, not the revised version in the call. Therefore, our votes on the SOMR are invalid. This said, there was an overwhelming sentiment of the Finance Committee to make the aforementioned changes to the SOMR. We considered reconvening to correct this error, but understand that there is going to be a motion to postpone this summer and decided not to convene.
Thank you. James Waters, Chair of our Budget Overview Committee.
Good evening. The Budget Overview Committee did consider the current version, which was amended in June. And we voted 11-0-0 on the SOMR with District 2 absent. I think you'll recall that we discussed this item in its original form at length at our May 29th, 2025 meeting, where we had voted 1-2-8 on the previous version. Mr. Leader from District 11 provided an overview of some of the changes that had been made since we had discussed it previously, and highlighted that the goal of the SOMR was to express that litigation between town entities should only be used as a last resort, and that less costly alternative dispute resolution approaches attempted first. He also explained that he believed the substitute SOMR, the one that is before us tonight, now addresses some of BOC's initial concerns on the SOMR. BOC members agreed with that and approved the item as listed on the call, voting 11-0-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Kip Bergweger, Chair of our Legislative and Rules Committee.
We had Adam Leader, the proponent, at L&R meeting. He described the history of the SOMR, which had been amended by District 11 at the June 2025 RTM meeting and approved with strong support. Mr. Leader reported on the Finance Committee meeting, which the first selectman also attended. He explained that Finance had made a motion to amend to remove references to the current intergovernmental loan suit and focus on creating a policy of handling future disputes. They had voted 9-0-1 in favor of the item with their amendments. Mr. Leader also noted that since the District 11 amendments were approved at the RTM's first read of the SOMR, additional outside counsel had been added, and the Board of Education was considering adding $150,000 for outside counsel to their fiscal year 27 operating budget. Unfortunately, at the L&R discussion began, it was found that the language that was included in the minutes and at the call was not the same language that was before us. Concerns that L&R could not conform the approved language led to a motion to postpone to the October meeting. So that is what we did. Motion to postpone item 16 to the October RTM meeting was approved 12-0-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we've heard a couple of times that there is going to be a motion to postpone indefinitely. Mr. Leader, did you want to offer that, or are you gonna? Okay, come on up. Mr. Leader is the architect of the substitute resolution that was adopted in June, and he's offering a motion to postpone this item indefinitely.
I move this be postponed indefinitely. I think 2 meetings, considering this is enough. So, I'm sorry. Louder, sorry. I move we postpone this indefinitely. I feel like 2 meetings, 2 rounds of committees is sufficient. I'm sorry, I didn't bring the correct version from the call to hand out to Finance and L&R. So my preference is to either postpone it indefinitely, to take the item off the call, or to approve it so that we completely dispose of it tonight, one or the other.
Okay.
I don't feel like it's worth further discussion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? The motion to postpone indefinitely has been moved and seconded, and it's now before us. Any debate on the motion to postpone it indefinitely? No one has signed up, but maybe. Okay, if not, I'm just going to call for the vote. Okay, so as I said earlier, for the other motion to postpone indefinitely, if you would like to kill the item without actually taking a vote on the merits, you would vote yes. If you would like to eventually open this up to have debate on the merits and then have an opportunity to vote it up or down, you would vote no. Okay, so everyone understands? So Craig, can you, okay, So this is, Ms. Pisano, for the record, it would be the leader motion to postpone indefinitely. I didn't put that on there because I wasn't sure who was offering it. So if you are in favor of the motion to postpone indefinitely, you would vote yes. If you are opposed, you would vote no. Craig, can you hit the timer, please? Okay. Has everyone voted? We're going to close the vote. Okay, I have the vote on the item to postpone indefinitely, item 16. Those in favor, 128, opposed 31, abstaining 5. That item has carried. I do want to make one announcement before I adjourn you, which is our October meeting is historically when we like to honor anyone who's a veteran, a current member of the RTM who's a veteran. I know who some of you are. I don't know who all of you are. So if you are interested in being recognized, and I realize it is a highly personal thing, some people like to be recognized for their service, some people do not. Just shoot me an email so I can get you on the roster and we will recognize you and have you lead us in the pledge in October. Until then, there being no further business, the meeting stands adjourned at 9:50. Thank you very much.